Hey guys, this is Greyson with Digi-Academy here. We got Dan Vang from GFG here to help introduce our Christmas list that topped the TrueChampsGames local over the weekend. So to start out for the eggs, I'm playing 4 of the new Kapuri because you almost always have a tamer on board and you're just going to swing your rookie at security before you go into a hybrid. And then the 1 of Yoko, because sometimes you'll want to swing over their Bokomon, so having the Metal Kabu to suspend is really helpful. And then for the rookie lineup, I'm only running 2 Gilmon. He was the least important of the rookies I'm playing right now, because this card is insane in the mirror matchup and just in general because all the hybrids that are level 5s reduced right now. So this card just helps a lot with several matchups. And then for your last card, you play Flamemon because he is a hybrid, so you can search him off Beetle effect and also Boko. So you have a searchable high rookie to play in Raising, since you are playing a green deck with a red base. And then the final rookie is Bokomon because, as you know, Bokomon is insane. And then for the level 4s, I'm only playing 1 Arbor because I noticed after playtesting it for a bit, if you Beetlemon, you're probably seeing Beetle or Metal Kabu, so you just bot deck the Arbor every time. So he's the most niche target to grab, so I just wanted to play less of him and open up option slots or tamer slots. And then, of course, for Beetlemon, because he's your searcher and does everything. And then for Metal, Metal is insane, especially for the matchups where they play Floodgates to try to negate your reduction effect. Because if you don't have a way to clear their Floodgates, you are, like, screwed. And then I'm only running 4 level 5s. Some people were running Argomon as a side. I didn't see the point in it. It just seemed like it was too slow. So the 4 Rhinos to warp. For level 6s, I'm playing 4 Ancient Beetle because card's busted. Trashing a security is always good, no matter what matchup, especially if it hits a tamer. And then 2 Troy because it also has Ancient in it, or the 10 Warriors, so it also warps, which is very important with your level 5. For the Tamer lineup, I'm only playing 2 Izzy. Izzy's nice because it can make it to where your Metal Digivolves for free over JP, or if they have like a Sayako on board, it basically makes it to where you can tap this while having JP on board and it still costs 1. And then you can swing through their Sayako and clear it, and then you can go Rhino and pass and stuff like that. And then 4 JPs, of course. And then 3 Mimis. Mimi comes up sometimes. You don't really get the double rookie effect often, but it was just it was more consistent than playing Ken. Ken came up very rarely, if ever. And then your real bread and butter options that make the red base worth it. Atomic Inferno. This card is insane because you getting to trash one and do 2 checks. 3 checks just burst at any time during the game is always good, especially in a hybrid format where you have Tamer set up to kill them the turn after. Spicy kinda, 2 Atomic Blaster main deck. We noticed we were getting swarmed a lot, and if we couldn't clear it with Metal, it was very rough a lot of matchups. So having this to clear stuff like Siakos and boards like that was really helpful. And then 2 Thunder Laser. Dan, what were your thoughts on this deck?
Hi everyone, Dan from God Force Gaming. Obviously, thanks for having me. I really like it. I think this is my favorite deck of the format right now, just because we're able to have a little bit of different lines of play. We get the aggressiveness from the red with the Atomic Infernos, but we're able to essentially climb up and reduce costs very well to go up to our Ancient line, right? So that's very nice. I think in all, this deck has at least 2 to 3 Flamemon, 4 Boko, 4 Beetle. That's already a lot of searchers already for the deck itself to pick up pretty much 1 or 2 of each target, right? Which is really nice. I do think that for us, like a lot of times in this format, the DP threshold can be lower, similar how the BT6 format is. So you're able to Atomic Inferno a rookie, and possibly if you double Atomic Inferno a rookie, it could well possibly swing for 3 checks and live.
Yeah.
There were some games where I was able to close it out with just double Atomic Inferno and then just swing with the last rookie to swing for game. One of the insights I remember as well is for the Mimi, depending on what deck you play, if you play against like a blue stun deck, if you're able to just get Rhino out, right? Minimum at Rhino or whatever level 6, Mimi will start proccing off. Because even though you can attack, Mimi can still tap to, start putting out red rookies if needed. And the best situation is if you are stunned and you have a Mimi, hopefully your red rookie is the Gaussmon, right? To kind of pressure them back as well. Because if they can't get rid of it, they're kind of stuck, and then Gaussmon doesn't let them reduce costs, so they can't get Beowulf out. So that is useful. I do like this deck a lot, though. It is able to be aggressive when you can, but a lot of times you can be a little sacky too, with the deck. About your insights with it.
I think my favorite thing about this deck is just honestly the consistency. The options can be a bit bricky, but with you having a mulligan and a side deck, you can tech into a lot of matchups, and also being on a mulligan brick hands is always nice. I think the worst starting hand I had was like double JP and then like a level 5 and 2 6s. And like sure you have to mulligan it, which it sucks to lose JP, but you lose JP, you lose JP. It could be worse. Like, you still play 5 other Tamers, and there's probably 1 in security at the least. So you're always going to see a Tamer in the long run, hopefully.
I agree. I think a lot of it is this deck actually, yeah, you're right. This deck does feel a little more consistent because we have the mulligan, right? You're like, oh, if this hand is not great, I can still probably potentially get a better hand, so I'm just going to bottom deck it. Some games for me, I was testing yesterday with it, and I think I had full line in hand, Atomic Inferno and something else, but no red rookie and no tamer. And, me being bold, just testing, I was like, what if I keep it? Let's keep it. And luckily, I had a JP in security, so when they hit the JP, I was like, oh, we're good now, you know what I mean?
Yep, because once
That's all I needed.
Once you get that 1 JP and the beetle search off, you're searching all your pieces for a second line, so like from there, you can just set up JP turn after turn.
It felt really good.
I think, honestly, the MVP of this deck that makes us just better than Mono Green is just Gaussmon. Mono Green not being able to, like, get through reduction as easy is, like, really good for the mirror match, because I played it twice at the tournament. I played against a Mono Green build, and they could not beat this card. We went to game 2, and I had 2 on board, because I had 1 in raising that I raised up and hard played, and they just didn't have an out to that easily. Because it's like
it is tough too, right? Because then the Gaussmons are 5Ks now each.
Exactly, and then you can even beat into security if like they don't have a tamer on board. Though it is risky, you can do stuff like that, and they don't die very often. And then like one thing that's really sick you can do is with how many atomics you play and how small everyone's security is, you can do stuff like double Atomic Inferno the metal, and he'll never die.
Yeah.
Like 6k going to 12 with 3 checks just doesn't die. It's insane. Rhino's even better. If you can get a Rhino out and like you don't have to warp, just double Atomic and then go like hybrid for game, it's a really it's so much pressure. I think
it really is.
The one card I'm like the most skeptical of and want to change is probably Troy, because every time I play it, Troy feels very lackluster. The warp is nice, but I almost just want to play Arbormon like main deck or something like that instead. Cause
the Argomon, the level 6 Argomon?
Yeah.
I agree. I think, you and I have discussed it prior to. I think the Troy is nice, but I think the Troy is probably it's nice, but it's dependent on your situation as well, because if you have the Troy out, most likely you'll be okay against certain decks, but if you're against like a blue stun deck, I mean, if they have all hybrids in hand, it's not going to make a difference, right? Yeah. But Troy is the best feeling against like a Cherubi player, right? Because if they can't kill the Troy and they're trying to kill the Cherubi, whatever happens, however many rookies are coming out, 2 of them are getting arrested, right?
Yeah, and even
whereas the Argo... I'm sorry, go ahead.
The crazy thing is, Cherubi doesn't even get hurt that much by Troy, I've realized, because they can also just Bokomon instead of playing like Bushies if they have both options, and then they just hybrid you for game.
Correct. Because they can always go that route too, and plus from my playtesting against Cherubi players such as Nobu, they have so many ways to just get the Loemon that has retaliation, so you're kind of like, well, my Troy's dead anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, you get the free body off of it, but, like, they play Deathclaws of 3 or 4 of usually. So it's like, even if I get my free body back, they're just going to Deathclaw it. But,
whereas Argo might be the slightly better play, lower DP threshold, but you almost always will be able to get it on board and rest a bunch of tamers, right? And Argo is definitely a great card late game against yellow, purple, or even yellow, right? Because then like everything's suspended. They're waiting for like that kill turn where they're gonna get like 10 memory off TK Kari, and they're just be like, oh yeah, well we're just gonna swing for hyper for game, and then you drop the Argo, and then it's like, well.
Yeah, and then like you can even like in the mirror match, especially, you can lock your opponent out of playing the game. It's like I can Argo on you, and if you don't have an out or you haven't built a tower yet, and I have, and I'm just that far ahead, like it's just over. Sure, you don't get to use Atomic Inferno on that stack, but instead you're locking them out of the game, and then from there you can just use your own tamers and just aggress. You can even just play slow and Mimi tick every turn and just swing with Mimi, hatch, swing with Mimi, hatch. Just trickle them if you want. There's no way for them to punish you easily. And if you can get a Gal set up with that, it's just over. Like, there's no way the green matchup can win that from there. But,
Exactly.
yeah, I think this deck's really good. It has some really good stun combos in, like, the form of Gaussmon. I think the only thing that I wanted to change, like, really badly was just, yeah, like I mentioned, Troy. And then maybe messing with the rookie lineup a little bit, because I either want to cut Gilmon for possibly another Arbormon, because there was a few times where I wanted him and I didn't see him, or I just needed a 4 to win, but most of the time I never saw it or needed it in that situation. But I think overall, like for the weekend, it did it really well.
I agree. I had a good time using it. I still have a good time using it. You know me. That's like the one I gravitate towards, because it's just like, wow, this feels really fun to be able to do that, especially when an opponent checks Atomic Inferno out of your security. The game changes real fast too.
Yeah, Atomic Inferno is just dumb. There's just no other way around it. Especially against mono green, another thing where you just abuse mono green, because them not being able to get around the multiple check, and you make them bigger than their tower. So like they can't get to the 13k threshold without like basically crashing, or they go line and raising, which makes their deck even slower. So if they don't go line and raising, they're forced to crash with your Ancient Beetle, whereas you can just Atomic for 1 and clear their tower for free. And then you still have a tower. Like there's so much advantage to not playing mono green this format. It's insane.
I agree. But, you know, people have seen success with mono green.
Yeah, shout out to Max DePera.
Oh yeah, 100%.
But yeah, unless you got any closing thoughts, I think that's it.
Closing thoughts really is just, honestly, try it out. You know, if you don't like it, you don't like it, but try it out, you know?
So this deck is...
Sorry, go ahead.
This deck is very budget friendly. The only card I think Gilmon was bought out for a bit, but I think he's went back down to normal too, and everything else is within 5 or less. I think Mimi is the most expensive card in your deck right now.
Yeah, I feel like this deck is probably $50 or less, give or take.
I don't think it's that much. I think most of these cards are like 25-cent cards. Like, you're probably paying $25 for the whole deck.
Pretty good.
Yeah, it's a very fun deck, very budget friendly, and honestly, it's not the most like it's not rogue by any means. It's definitely up there on the tier list, I think.
I agree.
I would say probably tier 2, tier 1.5, somewhere in there, but it's very good.
I'd say tier 1.5-ish on a good day, tier 1 on a bad day, tier 1.5 to 2 for sure. Well, we look for pieces, right?
We don't look for pieces, we just have them in hand. Easy.
Beetlemon is the way to go, right? You get the beetle, you start popping off.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that's all. Hopefully you guys will show up for Nobu's deck profile that might be out before this one, and if so, we also have Chris's deck profile for blue coming out soon. But yeah, have a good night. Thank you, Dan, for showing up and helping out, and shout out to GFG for letting us use Dan tonight.
Shout out to the DA boys as well.
Yes, sir. Well, everyone have a good night, and hopefully you guys enjoy playing the deck as much as we did.